How's everyone doing? Welcome back to another episode of the Banker Next Door. I'm your host, Dr. Joe Berquist. Today I wanted to bring everybody a very interesting story, the rise of Erebor. So a new startup bank by what's his name? Palmer Luckey, who is Andril, I think is the name of his tech company. Very fascinating individual, Luckey is, and we are going to be talking about this bank here, as well as a slew of other companies and startups that are trying to get into the banking space as of recently. But let's look at this article here from the Wall Street Journal. So, how Hobbit-Inspired Startup Plans to Replace Silicon Valley Bank, backed by Palmer Luckey and other founders, new bank named Erebor earns preliminary government approval. Now, if any of my Lord of the Ring fans out there, if you remember The Hobbit, if you've ever seen any of the Hobbit movies or read the Hobbit book, you would know that Erebor is the mountain for what is it? The dwarves. It's the dwarf mountain where they keep their massive treasure. They keep all their golds, basically like their citadel, and it's where the dragon Smoke. Basically, where he lies, and they have the whole theme in the movies. But anyway, for my Lord of the Rings fans out there, but let's go into there. I digress. So when Silicon Valley Bank collapsed in 2023, it nearly took startup Anduril down with it. Now, again, like I said, Anduril, that is Palmer Luckey's startup company. So for anybody who doesn't know about Luckey, he basically worked for Meta. He worked for Mark Zuckerberg. Him and Mark kind of had a falling out. I don't know if he quit or got fired. I'm not really sure what all the story there was, but he left. And he basically went and started Anduril. And what Anduril does is a fascinating company. They basically are creating all kinds of AI and tech for the military. For their, they're helping create autonomous like submarines, autonomous vehicles on land. He's done a lot of drone work. He's creating autonomous jet fighters. He's got like an AI helmet thing for soldiers to wear that gives them all kind of data and information, everything. If everybody, he recently did he did an episode of Joe Rogan. So if anybody wants to go out there and watch that Joe Rogan to learn a little bit more about Luckey, he's a fascinating individual, I think. A little bit goofy, as you can see here. This is how he dresses normally, so he's a little goofy in his dress wear. But what does he care? He's a billionaire, so what does he care? All right, so Silicon Valley Bank fails. So ever since the defense company's co-founder, Palmer Luckey, has been building what he hopes can be a replacement named Erebor, after the mountain where the dwarves stored their treasure and which the dragon took over in J.R.R. Tolkien's The Hobbit. That new bank won a preliminary regulatory approval on Wednesday. The relatively quick approval will excite a wave of companies and startups that are seeking to become banks and serve clients that have struggled to get access to mainstream financial providers, especially technology and cryptocurrency firms. They have been cheered on by the Trump administration, which has promised a new openness from regulators. Luckey and his collaborators plan to focus the bank's business on loans and depository services to much of the same clientele as Silicon Valley Bank, according to people familiar with the matter. That could include technology companies in cryptocurrencies, artificial intelligence and defense and manufacturing, as well as investment funds and ultra high net worth individuals that hold crypto, according to the bank's charter application. The bank plans to build infrastructure that will allow customers to make payments with stablecoins, a cryptocurrency tied directly to a fiat currency such as the US dollar. The people said it doesn't plan to issue its own stablecoins. They said the focus on what is called the innovation economy and stablecoins put the bank in a milieu of new entrants into the financial system, crypto and crypto adjacent companies that are seeking to change the financial system from the inside rather than from the outside, in the words of one of the bank's board members. The Trump administration has pledged to support the cryptocurrency industry after crypto advocates poured tens of millions of dollars into President Trump's campaign. On Wednesday, the head of the national bank regulator, the OCC, pointed to the preliminary approval of Erebor as a demonstration of the agency's new stance. Today's decision is proof that the OCC under my leadership does not impose blanket barriers to banks that want to engage in digital asset activities. Controller of the currency, Jonathan Gould, said. Erebor, which has raised $275 million, that is a huge amount of money as an initial capital raise for a startup bank. Okay, I mean, basically think about it like this: it generally costs about $20 million in a general capital raise to start a new bank. If I would say, if you want to give yourself a realistic shot, though, probably going to need 30 to 40 million, like something in that. Right? Like I say, if you raise 30, 35 million, $40 million, you're probably giving yourself a real good shot at building, getting a bank off the ground, getting it to profitability, and hopefully turning it into something successful. $20 million, maybe depends on where you're at in the country. Like, I don't know, maybe if you're in like a Midwestern state or something with a, just a small town, and it's going to be just a small bank or whatever, like then, yeah, that might be okay. But again, 275 million is a huge amount of money in initial capital raise. It's a lot of money. Is backed by a number of investors in Peter Thiel's circle, of course, including Lucky, Palantir co-founder Joe Lonsdale's 8VC and Thiel's Founders Fund. Other investors include Hahn Ventures, which focuses on crypto, Bain Capital Crypto, the blockchain arm of private equity venture firm Lux Capital, and 776, a VC firm founded by Reddit co-founder Alexis Ohanian. Despite modeling itself in some ways after Silicon Valley Bank, Erebor's founders are trying to avoid some of the missteps that brought down the California-based bank. Erebor plans to avoid risk from interest rate fluctuations by investing in short-term treasury securities and other highly liquid government bonds, according to the people familiar with the matter. It also plans to hold a relatively conservative 50% loan-to-deposit ratio, they said, and it will skip the luxury perks such as courtside tickets Silicon Valley Bank used to treat clients. We're building a bank, not a social club, Lucky said. Lucky won't have an operating role in the new bank, but he will serve on the board. In filings, he was listed as the bank's principal shareholder. Lucky first rose to prominence as the co-founder of Oculus, the VR headset maker that Facebook bought in 2014. He was one of the few public supporters of Trump in Silicon Valley during the 2016 election, which he told people led to his ouster from Facebook. He was a significant donor to Trump's 2024 campaign. Erebor's preliminary approval marks a shift in how regulators handle the bank chartering process, according to lawyers who advise on it. Before, obtaining a preliminary approval was a lengthy process that virtually guaranteed final approval. Now the OCC has told applicants that it will attempt to grant conditional approvals within 120 days, after which applicants must work to raise capital and build the risk management systems necessary to obtain final approval, said David Portilla, a partner at law firm Davis Polk and Wardwell. Again, yeah, so very interesting article here. Now, I will tell people that, Silicon Valley Bank had one of the most niche, unusual banking models of any bank in the United States. That's why it served the Silicon Valley crowd, but they served tech companies. They served the VC venture capital world. They served hedge funds, private equity, startup companies, unicorns, if you will, that kind of thing. And they've really catered to that Silicon Valley crowd. And they did things that 99% of the other banks out there would just run away from. And to Lucky's point here, and I think he makes a great point in here, basically that we're going to be a bank and not a social club. And that's, Silicon Valley Bank. I mean, they were known for, doling out the goodies and, taking care of the clients, again, catering to a lot of billionaires out there in Silicon Valley. I'm sure they felt they had to, entertain or pony up, so to speak, a little bit with some of those clients. But it sounds like they're not doing that. And they want to keep, short-term investments, 50% loan to deposit ratio. I mean, those are all great things. If they do that, I think they will probably be very successful. And I think they're probably going to bring some new technology to bear into the fold as well. So I will absolutely be keeping an eye on Erebor here and how it progresses. Now, before I leave, just a couple other things I want to share with everybody here. So a couple articles here. So first, OCC grants conditional approval for Erebor Bank's national charter application, which we got there. The Office of the OCC has granted preliminary conditional approval for Erebor Bank's NA's new national bank charter application. So it is a national charter, not just a state charter. The bank is going to be based in Columbus, Ohio. It will be a full service insured national bank providing traditional and virtual currency related products and services to businesses and individuals. It plans to hold certain virtual currencies in its balance sheet according to a regulatory document. Erebor is the first de novo bank to receive a preliminary conditional approval since I arrived at the OCC, said controller of the currency, Jonathan Gould. Erebor Bank filed an application with the OCC for a national bank charter on June 11th. The company plans to establish its main office in Columbus and will have additional locations in New York, aiming to provide its products and services nationwide and globally. The bank will cater to international companies seeking access to the U.S. banking system to support operations associated with the U.S. dollar. This includes companies that use the U.S. dollar as their functional currency and businesses that use stable coins. So again, very interesting that they want to cater to the Silicon Valley crowd, but they're going to be based in Columbus, Ohio, and they're going to have branches in New York. It didn't mention anything about branches in California or branches in like Silicon Valley per se. So it's kind of that aspect of this is kind of very interesting. I'm not sure how they ended up with Columbus, Ohio. That seems like a very interesting location to be the headquarters for this new bank. But we'll see as we get more details into the future. Now, to the point of this article, though, the U.S. bank charter applications surge dominated by non-banks. So financial technology companies and non-banks, emboldened by a more permissible regulatory environment, have lined up for bank charters in 2025. U.S. bank charter applications have surged this year, with 21 applications filed through September 4th, over double the number of applications in full year 2024, and setting up 2025 to have the most applications since 2020. The majority of those have come from either financial technology companies seeking national trusted bank charters with the OCC, or non-banks seeking ILC charters from the Federal Deposit Insurance Corp. You have a major chess match playing out here that is broader than stablecoins, that some companies believe is a once in a blue moon opportunity. Richard Rosenthal from Deloitte and Touche LLP Principal said in an interview, people are looking at this and saying, if I wanted to do this business, if I wanted to accept deposits, if I wanted to have access to the payment systems, let me try now. This may be my best shot. So just again, I want to show everybody this chart just so they can see here. Got a lot of applications. So the -2 is basically either applications that were withdrawn or denied. So you've got 19 that are still pending. We know Erebor was approved, so probably 18 more that still have to be rendered a decision on. So again, very interesting stuff happening here. I will continue to update everybody on this as the information comes in. I hope people found this very interesting. I certainly did, with what's going on here with Erebor and Palmer Luckey in creating and establishing this new bank. We will be watching this closely to see what happens. That being said, I would like to say, if you like this episode, please make sure to like, share, and subscribe, as that always helps the channel. Remember, we are on YouTube, Rumble, and all major podcast platforms. Please be sure to leave your comments down below, as I always love getting back to everybody. And as always, make sure to check out some of the other content on the channel. I hope everyone has a great day out there. I thank you for listening, and I will see you again real soon.